Good morning and welcome to Djuma Private Game Reserve. My name is Brent. On camera with me today is Andrew, and in FC is Alex and Tara. For those of you who might be new viewers, we are literally live. So what I'm seeing, you seeing, by a few seconds. I'd like to welcome everyone, and it's going to be a great drive. It's been a fantastic start already. As you can see, we've got a hyena, and we've got a male leopard up the tree with an impala kill. It's been a nice, easy start for us. We haven't come very far from our camp. If we have a look just over my shoulder through this fence, we'll see a light and a wall there, and that is final control. So that's where the office is, and we're literally 50 meters from it, sitting with a male leopard and a hyena. Incredible patience that hyenas show at leopard kills. Just feeding off tiny scraps that drop and hoping that possibly the leopard's going to make a mistake and drop a much bigger piece of meat. So you can see still quite a bit of meat left on the impala. So I'm confident that the leopard's going to be here for a while, unless he drops it, and the hyena will then make off. Oh, is he eating the eye at the moment? There was an eye there. So just to remind everyone that we are interactive with the audience. You are able to send us questions about what we're seeing and about the African bush. So you can send those questions to via email, questions@WildEarthTV, or if you're on Twitter, just use the hashtag SafariLive. Sort of a news catch-up. So keep you guys all up to date with the bush news. So yesterday, or probably last night, this leopard killed the impala. And he stashed it up the tree to protect it from hyenas. And for those of you watching yesterday morning, it was pouring with rain, so we weren't actually able to go out, although Stefan and myself did manage to go out and go track a little bit, and we did find this guy, but he wasn't eating. He was lying in a bush hiding from the wet, and as I'm sure everyone can see, it's very grey, cloudy skies this morning. Sorry guys, I just got to take the other radio. I'm chatting to the other game drives. Go ahead. FM, make your way. Best access is, there's that little link road that goes between Vuya's and Yuri's house. If you're coming from the dam, you'll get my visual from that little road. So, FM. So, just to let you know, there are obviously some wonderful safari lodges that we operate on their areas. So we operate on Djuma Private Game Reserve, where we are at the moment, and Arathusa Private Game Reserve. So there are other vehicles around, and what they do is they've got people on safari, and they drive around, and we all work together. So obviously the more of us out there, the more of us tracking for animals, the more animals we find, and we all try to help each other by communicating over the radio. Also, so we're sitting with the leopard. Sean's on his way from Arathusa, and he'd like to join us. Wow, he's really getting stuck in. He's going to try probably open the brain cavity at the moment. The brains will have quite a lot of nutrients and high in minerals. And when leopards do make a kill, they will go for those sort of high sort of, well, what's the right word for this? high nutrient areas. So generally the first thing they'll eat is sort of liver, kidneys, lungs, heart, and then brains, eyes. But they will, as you can see, he's also fed off some of the meat. So we can hear the other safari vehicle approaching now. So I know a lot of you guys out there are big fans of ID-ing animals, and specifically the leopards. So I'm just going to say, who can tell me which leopard this is? You can send your answers to questions at WildEarthTV, or just use the hashtag Safari Live on Twitter. Morning, morning.
Howdy.
How's everyone this morning?
Hey. Today.
Not too bad, and I only had to travel 2 minutes from home. So just carrying on the recap from what's been happening in the bush, so the bush news. The nice thing about the bush news is it's constantly updating. Everything's constantly changing, and different things are going to let us know what's happening out there. So apart from this young male who's been on this kill for quite a while, since not last night, the night before sometime, Andrew and myself actually went out on a drive a little bit later yesterday with a friend of mine, and we actually found another young male leopard, probably about 2.5 kilometers from here. I took a photo of him. I'm not sure which one which male leopard it is, but I will definitely, when I download my card from my camera, I'll have a look. So also, what else was happening is that while we were out last night, we heard 2 different sets of lions roaring. They sounded like females to the south of us, and then male lions to the north. So a little bit later in the morning, we are definitely going to go check those areas to see if we can find any tracks and possibly find the lions. Well done, Power Funk Radio. That is correct. It is the quarantine male, or as I know a lot of you guys like to call him, Q male. So Power Funk Radio was the first in. To the rest of you, I'm sure there's a lot who got it right as well. Well done. So you can hear a squirrel, now our final control, who's woken up and he suddenly said, Oh my goodness, what a terrible start to my morning. I can see a leopard. So you can hear him alarm calling in the background. So those are the type of things when we refer to the sort of bush news we're talking about. Different animals will let us know that other animals in the area. So a lot of different animals, like squirrels and francolins, and that leopards will eat, but very, very seldom, and generally when they're younger. As soon as they spot a predator, even a lion, they will alarm, and they're basically telling the rest of the bush, they're going, leopard, leopard, watch out, leopard. That hind is just waiting for something to fall. And as the leopards get towards where they've eaten quite a bit of the carcass, and lots of pieces sort of just hanging on by sinews or skin, and they try and reposition it in the tree, that's when sort of larger pieces fall. And that's what the hyenas are waiting for. And I mean, I've seen hyenas wait for 3-4 days under a leopard carcass, just for tidbits to fall. We've got a young hyena. You can see there's very few scars on the face yet, or on the body, and the ears haven't been bitten too badly by flies. Good morning, Georgianne from Illinois. Georgianne thought Djuma young male leopard, for those who don't know, is this male leopard's litter mate, so they're about the same age. She thought he had killed the impala and quarantined had stolen from him. And we weren't out yesterday morning, but just chatting to other guides. As far as I understand, only quarantine was seen by the guides. He might have been misidentified first off. It does happen. We all do it. So I cannot be 100% sure what happened, because we weren't here. No one was here when the kill was made. It was during the night. And to answer the second part of the question, is Georgianne would like to know, if this isn't true, does this actually ever happen? It does, very much so. I mean, these two, the two young boys will definitely steal kills from their mother, and depending on the dominance between them, they definitely would try steal kills from each other, and then the dominant male leopard in this area will steal kills from all of them. Why must you hunt when you can beat someone else and take his food? Good morning, Anne-Marie from New Jersey. Anne-Marie would like to know if there are wild dogs in the area, and if there are, would they wait under a tree like the hyena for scraps? And the last I heard of wild dogs, they headed south from this area into the central Sabi Sand. So at the moment, not that I'm aware of that there are any wild dogs around, but they do move vast distances and very quickly, so they could very easily turn up. But to answer the second part of your question, Henry, they wouldn't wait under the tree for scraps like a hyena. If they weren't able to steal it outright, if it was on the ground, they would probably come and sniff around a little bit and move on. So he's perched, just that back leg on that very small branch, just balancing there while he feeds. So guys, I'm going to put it out to you. We know this leopard is going to be here for quite a while. So what would you guys like to do? Would you like to head east and see if we can go find some lions or some lion tracks so we can start looking for lions, and then come back here later on in the drive? Or would you guys like to stay here for longer? Please let me know what you'd like to do. You can send your answers to questions@wildearth.tv or use the hashtag SafariLive if you're on Twitter. Good morning, Jennifer from Toronto. Strangely enough, before we went live this morning, Andrew and I were actually chatting about that. I said it would be very interesting if lions did arrive. Probably not a male lion, but a lioness would definitely be able to get up there, and it would make a very interesting sighting to see what would happen. The leopard would probably try to get to the highest, smallest branches, and would give up his kill if lions did arrive here. Good morning, Leah from Arkansas. Leah would like to know, do lions and leopards ever fight? They do, but not really in the terms that there's a fair fight there. If a lion gets hold of a leopard, it's pretty much tickets for the leopard, I'm afraid. So leopards will generally try to avoid that and try to run away from them or climb trees. Though leopards do, if they find lion cubs that have been hidden or left alone, they will kill the lion cubs to remove competition in the area. Any news on Ngala from your side?
Straight away. Did I meet you, Bamba? The six young females given birth in the
In the white, but
Vessels camp.
vessels.
Djuma timbers are hanging around there now, obviously, because they got new market. But yeah, there's lots around. However you need them, man.
This is, timbers were calling last night, almost the whole night. Yeah.
Yeah, we could get them from some of the east. They call all the lines, they heads up and look. Okay, that's good. Good. Got a big giraffe there. Not tomorrow, probably tomorrow they'll be at our dam.
Okay, cool. I might see you tomorrow. So, guys, I was just having a quick chat with Sean from Arathusa. He's letting me know on the lion movements on that side. and there is some interesting stuff happening. I think that Salala breakaway pride have killed a giraffe. Unfortunately, that's outside of our Travis area. And then also, one of the Styx young lionesses has given birth to the south of us. So that's very interesting news. So there are some new lion cubs in the area, but unfortunately also not in our Travis area. So I think we're going to go look for those lions we heard calling last night. But for those of you who might have joined us a little bit late this morning, we've got the quarantine male eating an impala, and we're probably about 60 meters from final control. So very interesting. And when we had a nice easy start to the morning, 2 minutes and we were here. There's still quite a lot of meat left on this impala, so he's probably going to be here for a while. And there's a single hyena playing the patience game, waiting for titbits to drop. There we go. As we say it, one drops, and it's a tiny little piece of bone, but every little bit counts. So guys, I'm waiting to hear from you whether you'd like to stay with this leopard longer, or should we go look for some lions on our eastern boundary. Remember to send your answers to questions@WildEarthTV, or just use the hashtag SafariLive on Twitter. Well, there we go. I've just heard. Thanks very much, guys. We're gonna move on now. The general consensus is that we'll definitely come back and check on the sighting a little bit later. Being so nice and close to camp, it's a very nice one to put in the sort of what as my dad would say, put it in the bank. So we just make sure we'll keep you updated on the sighting as it progresses. I'm sure all of us will cycle through here so we can actually see sort of the whole disappearing of an impala. Yeah, let's go look for some lions. Cheers everyone, have a good morning.
Thanks for letting me treat.
Absolute pleasure. I can't thank you for anything yet.
Give us time.
The art. Cheers guys. So, what a wonderful way to start the morning. For those regular viewers, I've been telling you what a softy I am when it comes to the cold. It's quite chilly this morning, probably, I don't know, I'd guess about 15, 16 degrees Celsius. And I've already whipped out my grandpa's old down jacket, and I'm nice and toasty. And when we first went out this morning, when I thought we might be driving for a while, it was quite cold. I even had my mitts, but it's not too bad now. So our plan is that we're gonna head south first, head to our southern boundary, start looking for tracks. That's where I heard quite a lot of lion audio last night, and then we also heard other lion audio to our east. So we're gonna check both those boundaries, see if the animals have moved in from the neighboring properties. Good morning, Roz from the US. Roz would like to know what was the follow-up on a possible rare bird sighting we had the other day. It was of a Eurasian hoopoo. Roz, I've sent the pictures off to the sort of bird experts that are in charge of saying yay or nay to sightings, and we're still waiting to hear back from them. But the bird was a possible Eurasian hoopoo. Stations, my radio's been down for about 15, been in the updates. Radar station, go again. The FM, all I copied was applied. Where were they heading towards? I didn't copy, I just heard a pride crossing east somewhere. I presume it's Portuguese or Officer Pride. So another reason why I'm checking this road, as I remember I was updating you about our bush news from last night. This is where we saw another young male leopard, and I wasn't quite sure who it was, but we didn't spend that much time with him. He didn't behave like Djuma, but he's got a very distinct behavior when you normally drive up for the first time. So definitely gonna have to go look at those photos and see if it was a different young male. Because I know Scott had the Bahuti young male leopard. He moved through this area, and that's quite uncommon. He doesn't normally come into this area. He is a little bit older, if I remember correctly. Can you guys verify that for me, if Bahuti is older than Quarantine and Djuma? So with it still being overcast from all the rain yesterday, the ground's still quite saturated, hasn't dried out. So there's definitely going to be some places we're going to have to drive quite carefully, because I don't feel like getting stuck and having to dig in the mud this morning. You can always just let Andrew do it. Moving. Well spotted, Andrew. Do you see those sort of dark patches in the tree there? Andrews has spotted some vervet monkeys waking up. Let's go to the left ones. And you can see part of the morning ritual going on. Aloe grooming, so they're grooming each other, probably removing fleas, ticks. And with most social animals, this is a very important part of their life, because it affirms the relationships within the social group. And specifically with primates, as we are primates, we know, sort of touching, hugging is all reassuring stuff. So you'll notice that with primates quite often, that there's quite a lot of physical contact, especially when they wake up in the morning and when they're about to go to sleep at night. And that's just reaffirming the bonds within the group, because you might have a squabble over a marula during the day, and you really don't like that other monkey for a while. So this is sort of to make everything right, and keep the bond in the social group strong, which will always make it a bit, will make it better when they're all looking out for each other, spotting for predators together, rather than trying to be a lone monkey. Okay, well, we'll leave them to their morning rituals. Another animal do quite a bit of that is baboons, also obviously a primate. But you do see it in some of the predators as well. Specifically, only true cat. There's a lot of that sort of backing up of the social bonds. And it's very important in lion prides, because when lions eat, it's each lion bite each other. They bite each other. And that low-lying area that caused us to lose signal. So we apologize for that. It's one of my favorite little antelopes. Just on the edge of the drainage line there. Oh, just try to go back to the little female bushbuck. It's such a dainty antelope. They're always definitely one of my favorite antelopes. It's very beautiful, and the way they move, they're so quiet. You see how they move very, very carefully, constantly listening. So quite often live in an area where they live on the edges of drainage lines and thickets. So also the same type of areas that leopards like to hang out in. So they've got to be quite careful. I'm just going to see if we can get one last look at her. I think she's disappeared. So quite an interesting little story about bushbuck. If you guys are looking carefully, you see there's like little white dots on her, and it looks like she's been almost drawn on. And then the Latin name, it's a Traphalegid, so it's related to kudu and Inyala, it's the same family. But so we won't worry too much about the first part of the Latin name, which is Traphalagus, which basically just means spiral-horned antelope. But the second part is scriptus, which means literally drawn on. And interestingly enough, even the Zulu and Shangaan name for a bushbuck is Mbabala, and that literally means the one who's been written or drawn on. So quite a nice little thing. Very, very pretty antelope. Oh, we got some big elephant bull tracks in the road. Looked like from quite early last night. And I did hear from Steph 2 days ago it was a big musk bull around. I can't smell musk, so it means it must have passed quite a long time ago. And when the elephant bulls are on musk, they do travel quite large distances, and they move chasing after the girls. morning, Valerie. Welcome on Drive with us on this chilly morning. Valerie would like to know, do we get serval cats in South Africa? We do, Valerie. We actually do get them in the Sabi Sands. They are more difficult to see because they don't occur in that. I have seen in the Sabi Sands before. And especially now as we head in towards the season, although it's all wet and whatnot from a very late rain yesterday, as we head towards the dry season, there's the possibility of seeing things like serval will increase because the grass will flatten down and trees thin out. So you'll during the dry season you do have a much better chance of seeing those smaller, more elusive cats. Hi Valerie, welcome on Drive with us this morning. Sorry about that, I think we're just going through a little bit of a breakup there. I think it's a lot to do with this low cloud cover we're experiencing this morning. Valerie would like to know if we got serval cats in the Sabi Sands or in South Africa, and we do. And I was saying that they don't occur in that higher densities, which makes them quite difficult to find. Also, one of the other things is that they're quite difficult to see. They like long grass, it's where they prefer to hunt. So during the winter months, as the bush gets drier and the grass flattens out, we've got a better chance of seeing them. Sorry guys, just explain to you what's going on here. So this is where we saw that other male leopard last night. I'm just going to have a quick walk on the road around us and whatnot, have a look if there are any tracks, just so I can let the other game drive vehicles know which direction, in case they're heading in that area and they might be able to find them. Then we're going to continue on to our eastern boundary and see if we can find some lion tracks. So it looks like he's actually heading the same direction we are, so we will keep a lookout for him or tracks as we head towards our southern boundary. Conzo of young Madure Ingwe heading south from the junction Twin Dams and Elephant's Skull. I'll follow up while I'm in the area. So it's very important that we communicate well with all the game drive vehicles, as it makes... Oh, look at the road. So they've disappeared.
They're still there?
Are they? No, they were two little diker. So well with the other game drive vehicles. So even though we might have had a great, there might be someone who's looking for a particular leopard, specialist safari. Welcome back, guys. So we just dipped through a drainage line there, and with the combination with the weather, it does sometimes cause some signal difficulties. We apologize for that. But as I was saying, the reason that here we go, and he's back on the road here. And we can show you the tracks there. There, the leopard tracks going down the road. There's the same tracks I found where I was walking around there earlier. Said he was heading in a southerly direction, same area as us. And I called it in on the radio, even though we've had a fantastic leopard sighting. With them lying in the tree, there's a strong possibility later in the day he's just going to be sleeping at the bottom of the tree, which is always wonderful to see leopard, but it might not be the best sighting for a photographer or something who's on safari. So we'll always call and let them say, oh, there's leopard tracks going this way, in case someone else would want to go look for them. And sometimes it might be us who wants to go look for a different leopard. So it's very important that we communicate and have a good relationship with all the guides. Good morning, Dennis. Dennis says he assumes in the dry season there's less cover. Does this affect predator hunting techniques? Well, Dennis, one of the things the dry season does make it easier for the predators to catch animals because they are forced onto certain water points. So in a lot of ways it is easier, and quite a lot of the water will always be in the low-lying areas around the drainage lines where there are natural thickets of evergreens that are not going to disappear during the dry season. Good morning, Shanae. Welcome on Drive. Shanae would like to know when was the last time we saw ground hornbills, and how's the ground hornbill research project going. Also, I haven't seen them, but I actually heard them last night. They were calling just after sunset, Wonderful, wonderful call. Sorry, Sinead, I'll be with you in a second. I'm just checking the tracks here. As far as I know, there has been quite a bit of good news with the ground hornbills, with a lot of old cattle areas turning into game farming. There has been a little bit of increase, but I don't know too much about it. But I can have a look when I get back and find out from a friend of mine who does some work for them and see what she says. Ephraim, come in. Station with that Shaminyari coming. If sorry, what whereabouts on Gari Buffelshoek? Okay, Ngomo. So it doesn't look like that young male leopard has crossed the boundary, so he's probably sleeping up in the area around Twin Dams. But no one wants to follow up on him just yet, and we're on the lion march today, or now. I'm going to drive very slowly. After the rain, it makes quite difficult to see tracks because it compacts the earth, so it's harder to see the tracks, even of a big animal like a lion. So I'm going to go very slowly here and just check carefully. This is the general area where I thought I heard the lions roaring last night. So basically, if we carry on with the news, I had the news last night. Now I'm looking for the updated news on the road. Good morning, Romay on Twitter. Welcome on Drive with us this morning. Romay would like to know, do female lions move away from the rest of the pride when they give birth? And if this is true, how long until they sort of bring the cubs back to the pride? It is very true, Romay. The lioness will move off generally to quite a secluded spot, drainage line, a rocky outcrop for her first den with the cubs. And the reason for this is that life in a lion pride can be quite busy and aggressive, and especially around a kill. As I said, there's no sort of friends when they're eating, only afterwards and before. So even the older cubs quite often get quite seriously hurt, or sometimes even killed around the carcass while the adults are feeding. So while the lion cubs are still small and developing, they do keep them away. And it depends on the lioness. I've seen them bring cubs in as soon as a month, and also as late as 2.5, 3 months. But it's probably generally around 2 months or so that they will start introducing them, or 2 to 3 months they'll start introducing them into the pride. Oh, also, lions have a very, very short gestation, like a lot of the predators. It's just over 3 months, around 100 days or so, like that. And for this is they have a very, very high mortality rate, so the majority of the cubs will not make it to adulthood, will not actually make it past the first 6 months of life. So because of this, very quickly, so to replenish stock, so to speak. So, for example, if a lioness loses her cubs, she also immediately comes, within about 10 days, comes back into estrus and will start mating again. So yeah, short, but a lot of your predators have short gestation periods. Leopards as well. Oh, hello, Ryan tracks on this road. So we heard some calling to the south. Now we're going to check our eastern boundary. So there was some calling to the south, some calling to the east. Hoping that one of them. I'll check the southern section across there. So we're now going to check the boundary. Sorry guys, sorry about that. The weather is playing a bit of havoc with our signal this morning. Oh, there's a zebra and it looked like it's got a open dash on its body. A zebra, I'm seeing the bush here, that keeps moving. It's got a big open wound that's more than likely caused by a lion. So we'll try a view of it. There we go. I don't know if you can see there, Andrew. Just tell me forward or back.
A little bit back.
I'm trying to get it.
Oh, it keeps moving.
It keeps moving. Yeah, wait. We'll follow the zebras. Oh, we're going to get a shot here as she goes onto the road. Oh, and a giraffe as well. Yeah, we're just going to wait. So it's the that you can see on shot now on her left hand side. Go, keep turning, keep turning. There we go. I'm almost 100% sure now that this zebra has escaped from a pride of lions. That is quite a deep gash and it looks very fresh within the last day or two. It's just muscle, so there isn't that much damage, hasn't nicked tendons or...
It'd be interesting to see what the lion looks like, if that's what the zebra looks like.
Yeah, it'd be quite interesting. We'll be able to see if the zebra does survive and it heals. The stripes won't add up anymore. They'll be off. They won't be perfectly sort of symmetrical anymore. And you can often see that on zebras that have survived attacks by lions. That now the stripes are slightly out of sync. Moving around. around, looking at us at the moment. So guys, that clicking, it's just me taking a photo. I wanted to get a photo of that wound on the zebra. I'm gonna move a little bit so you can have a look at everything. Go, thanks. How's that? Move back a bit.
A little bit.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
So it's quite nice. And zebra here. Only one giraffe. There could be some others around. So zebras, despite what a lot of people think, are actually quite good at defending themselves against lions, although they do get eaten like everything. But they do break lions' jaws from time to time, defending. So what probably happens is the lion of that zebra, and the zebra would have kicked out with its back legs, and really hard, and they can do some serious damage, even to as large as lion. Copy. So we were saying about that zebra is that actually can be quite good lines with what I think's happened with this zebra. So we're saying here is that there's probably a lioness or a lion on top, and it's given a really good kick. Both legs, a sort of back out kick, and that has dislodged the lion from it, and has managed to escape. I mean, there have been records of breaking lions' jaws in defense. So, unlike what most people would think, zebras would be very aggressive animals. And amongst themselves, they are extremely aggressive, specifically the stallions, and they fight for harems, which is sort of the term used for a zebra. You have a stallion who keeps a harem of females, and the competition for those females can be very, very aggressive and very bloody. They bite and kick each other. Let's try to go forward so we can have another look. Wound. Oh, there's a quarry in the way. Something gave the giraffe a fright. The giraffe was they have probably had quite a stressful evening, so I'm not going to push them too much. Just leave them be for now. We're going to continue to see if we can find some lion tracks. But that's very interesting to see that. And if the zebra does survive, I always like seeing the zebras that survive, where their stripes don't line up anymore. So you can see. Good morning, Billy Joe from Florida. Billy Joe would like to know whether oxpeckers will help. Actually, the complete opposite. Quite often, oxpeckers are very bad for wounds like that in animals because they'll keep it constantly. They'll eat the flesh from it. So what I'm doing is tracking where the zebra have come from. Maybe we'll find lion came from. Now we need to look a bit more closely for lion tracks. But sorry, well, back to your question. It's definitely more prone to infection now. But the other thing is that those animals can be so resilient. And the big thing there, I think, that it's just a flesh wound. It's just in the muscle. The zebra didn't look like it was limping, so it hasn't nicked any tendons or ligaments or arteries. So I think there's probably a good chance that zebra would probably survive that wound, but it might get an infection and then it might not. But it'll be interesting to see if we manage to see that zebra again. The problem with following up on that type of stuff is that the animals like zebra and wildebeest do move quite big distances. So we may or may not see her again. Good morning, Percy. Percy would like to know how fresh that wound on the zebra was. As I said a little bit earlier, I think it is quite fresh. It's within the last sort of day or two at the most. Ephraim coming. Ephraim, do you copy? Good morning, Judy from California. Judy would like to know, do giraffe travel in groups? And if so, what is the collective noun for giraffe? They do sometimes travel in groups, Judy. They are, in this area they seem to be a little bit more solitary, but you do find groups of giraffe. And the original, so most animals we just call it a herd of giraffe, whatnot. But if we want to have some fun, Judy, you've given me a great idea. We're going to play a little game after. I'll give you guys the first one, but we're going to play the collective noun game. So get the original collective nouns, and we'll start with a nice easy one. I'd like to know the original collective noun for a group of rhinos. Send your answers to questions at WildEarthTV, or just use the hashtag SafariLive on Twitter. Little termite mound. Spotted a couple of my favorite little creatures. So I should probably just go a bit closer. They're definitely, after a cold morning like this, they're only waking up now. Go. Dwarf mongoose. They'll be coming out of their nocturnal hideout now as it gets a bit warmer. It's always good to just sit quietly in the bush for a while as well and listen to see if we hear any alarm calls. Oh, pops head down. Done, Jennifer. That is correct. The Old English collective noun for rhino is a crash. A crash of rhino. And since we have three now, little dwarf in front of us, I think I'm going to ask you for the old collective for mongoose. For mongooses, mongoose. So guys, for those of you not sure what that fast clicking was there, camera, it's just too sweet of a shot up on. So they'll be quite cautious, as you can see at the moment when they're waking up. This particular sort of overnight stop for them isn't quite an open area, so they will very cautiously come out of the burrows, and they'll be watching very carefully, specifically for birds of prey. They can be quite vulnerable as they come out of the burrows first thing in the morning. Oh, well, Shanae, I can hear ground hornbills calling at the moment. They are quite far in the distance to the east of us, but I can hear them. Do-do, 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 do-do. Do 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 do. Actually, think from Fiji says it's a band of mongoose. It's not, but I think you might have got confused with the banded mongoose. So where that came from. The original collective noun for mongoose was not a band. I'll give you guys a little bit more time. Well done, Angie from Ohio. The original collective noun for mongoose is a business of mongoose. See how they're coming a little bit further out, a little bit further out. Ground hornbill call. Diane in Michigan would like to know, would the termite mounds have to be unoccupied by the termites for other creatures to use them? It depends on the creatures, but a lot of the time, yes, they'll be dormant before most of the other creatures start using them. Isn't that sweet? Look, there's a young one off to the right there. He's using that little V there to rest his neck in. But certain animals will use a termite mound while it's active, especially because the termites, all the heat coming from the termite mound. I know snakes will use it when it is active. Probably one of the more interesting little creatures that has a very close relationship with termites. I don't have a picture of them here, unfortunately, but it's called an African thief ant, and it basically looks like the queen and the drone, which are the adults that move through to start new colonies, look like driver ants, but except they're black. It's called an African thief ant. If you guys want to have a look at what it looks like, maybe just Google that for yourselves, and you can have a look what the African thief ant looks like. So the way it gets its name, so the sort of alpha pair, the queen and the drone, are massive in terms of the rest of the ants. The other ants are almost so small that you cannot see them. You have to really, really look. They're so tiny you cannot see them with the naked eye. And what they do during the rainy season is a new pair will fly off and they'll land on the edge of an active termite mound, and they will burrow into the side of the termite mound, and they will then not only mate and lay eggs and set up a little colony, but when they leave their natal colony, they leave with thousands of these tiny, minute, almost invisible worker ants on their bodies. So they sort of take their workforce with them when they move on. And these workers are so small that when they go into the termite mound, where the termites' larvae and eggs are, they're so small the termites don't notice them, and they collect the termites' eggs and carry them away to be eaten. And they're so tiny that the termites don't notice. I think that's one of the more interesting ones that really likes an active termite mound. And they live, so a very parasitic relationship, and they live in the termite mound or just on the edge in a separate chamber. But the workers are so small the termites don't even notice them stealing their eggs. I think we'll leave the little mongies to continue on, and we're going to continue on, see what else we can find. Morning, Buria, one of our zoomies, welcome on drive with us this morning. Our mongoose, very organized like meerkats. They have a similar social structure with an alpha pair doing all the breeding. Well, your social mongoose is yes, and well, a meerkat is actually a type of mongoose, so they are quite closely related. But your social mongooses, yes, they do have an alpha pair that will do the majority of the breeding. So no luck with the lion tracks yet, but don't worry, I haven't given up. It's like they were teasing me last night, calling just south of us and just east of us, that I was like, they sound like they're close, they're gonna come. And so far nothing. Naughty lions. So apparently there's some people asking that somewhere someone's found that rhinos historically used to be called a stubbornness. I've personally never heard that. I only know about a crash. Is looking down his nose at you, but an indomitability of buffalo. I've never heard of a stubbornness of rhino. But we can definitely continue playing the collective noun game. Since we saw them this morning, what is the collective noun for a group of zebra? Please send your answers to questions at WildEarthTV. Or just use the hashtag Safari Live on Twitter. For those of you who are new and might be joining late for the drive, just to remind you, we are live on Safari in the Sabi Sound of South Africa, specifically between Djuma Private Game Reserve and Arathusa Private Game Reserve. So whatever I'm seeing right in front of me, by a few seconds, you are seeing from wherever you might be in the world. And as you can see by my big fluffy jacket, the cold weather is upon us. It's probably around 15 degrees Celsius at the moment. Overcast, low bank of cloud. I'm very happy that there's no wind because that would just make it much colder. And those of you who've been watching for a while have heard me saying through the summer how much that I think a lot of the other people in camp think I'm a bit useless, but I've become already whipped out my grandfather's old down jacket to keep warm. So it gets quite cold. We're not right into the coldest time of the year yet. When that happens, you'll see me. You'll just see my eyes. I'll be buried in scarves, beanies, gloves. But it can get down to about 10 on the really cold mornings, below 5 degrees Celsius, that is. If it was Fahrenheit, that'd be a popsicle. Well done, Michelle in Massachusetts. That is correct. It is a dazzle of zebra. Quite a nice one, a dazzle of zebra. You can sort of see the stripes sort of shimmering through the light in the late afternoon.